Episode 10, One Big Team podcast. So grateful to be sitting here with a friend, Jack Posey, who is currently playing for the Carolina Chaos in the Premier Lacrosse League. Jack Posey is a Northern Virginia local, and in my opinion, one of the most put together, confident, clear-headed 23-year-olds that I have ever met. And I'm really grateful to learn from him and to be in a position to hopefully help him as he begins his coaching journey. I know this conversation is going to help you better understand personal development, growth, confidence, all the things that we can use every day. Could not be more grateful and excited. How are you, brother?
Dude, I'm awesome. Thank you for having me, Mike. It's an honor to be here. I've seen you in this podcast and the content you've started to put out, and a lot of the stuff you've put out has really resonated with me. So to be on the show with you and to have the opportunity to help inspire, motivate, and help anybody who's willing and wanting to listen, it's truly an honor to be here with you.
It's the best, dude. I appreciate that. One of the thoughts that came up for me is, what's the earliest you remember kind of setting big goals for yourself? Like, what's that age when you go, you know what, I want to be different. I want to grow. I can see a future for myself that's big and bright, and I'm going to go for it.
Good question. I always had big aspirations. So, it really depended on too, because based off that, I go back to my earliest memories in sports, which bring me back to football. And what I wanted to do with football was, I wanted to go from the B team to the A team. Same with lacrosse. So if we stay in the lacrosse world, I first started playing. I actually didn't want to play lacrosse. I thought it was soft. My parents tried to get me to play. I was a football kid, and all of my football buddies went and played lacrosse. And like, you know what? No, they got me little fiddlesticks and for Christmas. And I said, look, that's a soft person sport. I like the toughness of football, but so fourth grade I started playing. I was on the C team. One of my really good buddies got actually convinced to play by his orthodontist. Crazy story. That orthodontist son actually was my high school coach. Coach Farrell,
great
yes.
guy, a lot of energy.
Oh, dude.
I hope he listens to this.
Shout out Coach Farrell, man.
Coach Pat,
DMF, baby. But so he somehow convinced me to play. And then I played the C team, had a lot of fun. And then after that, I was curious to see, how far can I go next year? I was on the C team. I was athletic. I was a football player. And it really kind of piqued my interest. It wasn't like an immediate, I want to go be a professional player.
Sure.
As a kid, I had dreams of playing professional sports. As we were talking a little bit earlier, I actually had the dream of being a professional football player. Watching the Commanders at a young age, it was so cool. And that was just kind of, I'd always had this loose dream of that would be awesome. But when I was young, I was never really focused on that. It was more so, what's the next big accomplishment for me that I could do. So C team first year. The next year I went out in fifth grade. I made the A team for Dallas South Youth Sports, and that was a huge accomplishment to me. I felt like I didn't belong in that sense when I was young. It was my second year playing. A lot of these kids have been playing most of their lives up until that point. But really, man, it was always just the continual, I'm on this team. I think I'm doing pretty good. I think I could play with the kids who are a little bit better. No, I know I can. I see myself doing it. Well, there's this other team out there. Let me go try and make that team or try out there. So it was always just kind of this, I'm inching forward ever so slightly or ever so, just that I was increasing my competition by a little bit each year. With each season. And then when I got to probably freshman year of high school, that's when I really had this belief that, hey, you know what? I can go out and I can pursue a level of greatness and a level of skill that I am not at right now. So basically, like, my freshman year comes around, I'm playing with some kids. Back when I was in high school, especially early on, recruiting rules were different. Guys could commit to wherever they wanted for lacrosse starting in 8th grade. So there's a couple guys I got to play with locally, like Jacob Angelus, committed very early. And I was playing with him, and my whole mindset was, this guy is a phenomenal player. He just committed to Johns Hopkins before he even stepped on the high school field, had a phenomenal career in college. Was so cool to watch him and his success. But when I saw somebody who I saw as peer and who I saw myself as an equal to, and he had that success, I kind of thought to myself, if I dedicate to this. Why not me?
Yes.
Why can't I do a similar thing? So freshman year is really when I put this together. And at that point, it was still football. It's not like I had this plan that I was going to go play Division I football, but I loved it.
Yeah.
It was my passion. I loved lacrosse as well, but football, I had this deep tie to. I didn't end up being a great football player.
Yes.
And my sophomore year came around, I actually got hurt, got surgery on my shoulder. And when I got the surgery, I was concerned because I was going to lose a little bit of time from my lacrosse season. And at that point, when that obstacle came in my life and there was a little fork in the road, I decided that lacrosse was my true passion and that I wasn't willing to play football at the risk of losing lacrosse.
Sure.
Because I really had this goal of going and playing Division I.
Yes.
But I'd say that really started when I started to see some of my other peers have that success, and it became a reality for them.
Yep.
And once it became a reality for them, like I said earlier, it was more of a why can't I?
I love it. And I know in our conversations that we had this week at Mission Prime, which is an incredible camp, I'm sure we'll talk about, that same model is what allowed you to make the PLL roster for the Carolina Chaos. Kind of like, why not me? If these guys are doing it, so can I. So this concept of belief plays a huge role in our confidence and shapes the way we see ourselves and sees the way we see the world. And what you can do, what anyone can do to up their belief, is to just look around and understand that if that person can do it, most likely we can also train ourselves to do it. And one of my favorite influencers, podcasters, Tom Bilyeu, talks about, he calls it the only belief that matters. The only belief that matters is I believe that if I work hard at something, I will improve at whatever it is that I work hard at. And if you have that core belief, and it sounds like you developed it at a pretty young age, you can do whatever you want. You can study the room, you can emulate behaviors, and you can go on a run. So I'm sure we'll come back on how that's continued to support your journey as a person, as a player. But the other thing that sticks out to me, currently in the youth sports space, it's very saturated with teams and clubs. Sure. And parents are very quick to put their kid in a situation where they're getting immediate success. And you have referenced your parents multiple times in the time that I've spent with you and how great they have been for you. And how the best, right? And incredible. And I'm just like, I played on the C team too. First year I played 8th grade, greatest thing ever. What if they weren't happy with you being on the C team and they were like, let's go find another team so you can be on the A team, and maybe have a parent robbing their kid of the challenge. And now you get the surgery in high school, and that's another challenge to overcome. And you were part of my confidence course this week. Confidence is our belief in our ability to execute a skill or overcome a challenge. How do you see yourself now as a confident person and you having that belief to execute skills and overcome a challenge? How big is that in your mindset daily?
Well, I think kind of going back, you mentioned my parents. First and foremost, they're my greatest role models in life. My mom and dad, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't even be remotely close to where I am without them and the mentorship and just the love that they provided me. Yeah. For them providing me the ability to go out and make mistakes and to really find my true passion.
Yes.
Anytime I talk with anybody who's looking to improve their performance, one of the first things I always look for is how deep is the love for what you're actually doing. Because if the love is deep, you can overcome and persist through the challenges. Because any path we choose to go down, there are unforeseen challenges that will try to shake us, try to knock us off. And if the love is strong, you'll stay on that path regardless of what comes. And my parents let me develop what I truly loved at a young age. And they put me in a lot of different sports, baseball, basketball, football, lacrosse, track and field, never swimming. I was never a swimmer. I sing. But in Taekwondo, even, so they let me go and experience a lot of these different things. But one of the things you talk about the youth sports world, and I was very grateful that they never made my experience about them.
Yes,
they were extremely sure of themselves as parents. They knew who they were. They knew what they valued, and they valued me. They valued allowing their children to have their own experiences to figure out what they truly love. So they never pushed anything on me. It was always an organic process. If I wanted to get better at something and I wanted extra work or extra lessons, I was a terrible baseball player. I wanted to get better at hitting. So they went out and found me a hitting coach. Yep. That didn't last very long. The hitting coach, even though I'm sure he was a great hitting coach, God did not pick me to play baseball.
Sure.
But that was always something at a young age that really allowed me to develop the true love for and passions for what I hold close to me today. But the faith piece, man, that is probably the most important lesson I learned from all of it, and overcoming the challenges. And my parents, they always posed a question to me whenever it's like things got hard.
Yes.
And it never really changed. And whenever I was struggling with something, whether it was not making a team or not getting the playing time I wanted, or I had a bad game, there was always two options that my parents would give me. And the first option was you quit, or second one was you keep going. And the first one was never an option. I had a deep sense of not letting my parents down at a young age. And I knew quitting was not a part of our family. So I could change courses at times, and I did, but I was never going to quit. In that sense of quitting being my best self, or quitting improving, or quitting on a dream. So I kind of forgot what the original question was.
It's money, dude. No, it's so many good things you said there. And I want to kind of stay for a moment as we progress through your journey in this high school age bracket. And like, I look back, what were the things that I did then, intentionally or unintentionally, that I know I can look back now with clarity? It has served me. And one of them, a big pillar for me, a big influence from my mom, was kindness, right? So I think in 8th grade, I was voted friendliest, and in high school, seniors voted most likely to make you smile. Right?
Shocker.
So I got some awards there. I was acknowledged for it. And that's really how people came to know me, is that I wanted to light up a room. I wanted to be kind to other people. Well, in that process, I became a better communicator, became a better listener. And I look back really as like that, I did have a great work ethic for a period of time in regards to lacrosse. It wasn't what it became in college, but I look back, my intent to be kind to others made me a better person, served me then, served me now. What were some of those things? You get surgery in high school, you've decided, all right, I want to play Division I lacrosse. I have belief in myself that I can achieve this. Maybe the belief piece is a big part of it. Maybe getting in the room with the right people. I know you had great mentors.
Yeah, man.
What were the things that you look back on and you're like, you know what, when I did this as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid, I was proud of it then, and I'm really glad I did it now?
Good question. There were some really pivotal people and pivotal moments in my life that in the time I wasn't necessarily exactly sure what I was doing, but it felt right. One of them was you talk about getting in the room with the right people and finding the right mentors. At a young, probably around after my surgery sophomore year, going into my junior year, I made the decision to go to this one gym called the Sport and Speed Institute, owned and run by Justin Kavanaugh, one of my greatest mentors and coaches of my older life, from about junior year on, the past 7 years. I'm super young, man. I'm 23.
You got a lot going on.
But no, I really, going there, I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking for. I was just looking for a gym where I could train, and I wanted to play at a Division I level. So I needed to be around other people who had similar aspirations. That was important to me. Freedom High School wasn't necessarily a place that was pumping out Division I commits. In my time there was only 3 people who ever committed to go Division I. One was in my grade and one was in the grade above. So it was a very small sample of people who had that aspiration. So when I found this gym, found the intensity of the coach, and then the group of athletes that were also there. And importantly, another thing that I didn't realize until a little bit later was the diversity of athletes, whether they were females, whether they were soccer players, whether they were, football or sprinters, or, this whole variety of different athletes that just weren't lacrosse players. Getting in this environment that was competitive, and everyone was driven, that really helped me find an environment that I could push myself. That was outside of the sport of lacrosse. So not only was I competing in practice and games and tournaments with other lacrosse players, whether it was high school or club or all-star teams or any kind of these prospect events, but throughout the week I was going to this gym where I was doing sprinting drills and inevitably when you sprint with other athletes, you're competing.
Yes.
So I was developing my athleticism at an extremely high level with other people who were more athletic than me. It's funny when I look back, and this kind of leaked into my college career as well. In the summers when I would come home, I trained with all these football players. And let's just say I was the only lacrosse player there, and I was running with DBs and wide receivers.
Yeah.
I was not winning, and we do all these sprints, and I kept not failing in the sense of I wasn't getting better, but I just wasn't winning the reps.
Sure.
So I put myself in this room where I was surrounded by alpha athletes who I saw myself equal to in mentality, but physically they were better than me. So I had something to shoot at, a goal that said, no, I want to be as fast as this guy. I have the same mentality as him. No, I think I actually have a better mentality than him. Yep. I work harder. I think I'm more dedicated. I can get to that point.
Yep.
And something I would do back in the day, I don't do it anymore. Probably wasn't the best for developing speed, but we go out to this field and we do sprints. So let's just say it was a 15-yard sprint off a reaction, off a go call. We'd sprint 15 yards. I'd get beat by anywhere between 3 to 5 yards. Yeah. So in 15 yards, it's pretty bad. But these guys were beating through the line. My mentality was, okay, you might have me now, but I'm going to get you in time. And until then, I'm still going to get my win. So the second I finished that line, I jogged back to the start of the line, and you might beat me through the line, but I was going to beat you back to the line.
Love it.
And that was my mindset. I was always hunting the win. I was always hunting an edge. Yeah. And eventually these guys they'd look at me and they're like, okay, like, yeah, whatever. I'll come back and beat you again. So they do it over and over. And in time, I had better conditioning. Yes. So it might not have been the best for developing the speed, but I would start to catch up to these guys and I'd get the edge and I'd be like, okay, over a longer time, I can catch up to these guys, and they might be more elite than me in the first rep, second rep, third rep, but I can still win in this. There's a way for me to still not only make progress in my speed, but that I can be a dominant athlete in this realm. I love it. And that choice of going to this gym surrounded by a lot of elite athletes and putting myself in those environments, where it was totally, if I succeeded or failed, nobody in the lacrosse world was going to see it. Yeah. This was all separate. Yeah. And it was another way for me to develop the grittiness, to develop the competitor in me. And I could bring that over to lacrosse. Yeah. And all these people had no idea I was doing it. Yes. Well,
there's a couple of great points there I want to hit on, because it's money. Yeah. It's money.
That's the decision though, that I
put yourself in the room with great people. Well, you did two things really well. You found the right mentor in Coach Cav, who I know is still a close mentor to you to this day, and I want to talk more about him. You got into an environment with elite alpha competitors, athletes. You're learning from them intentionally, but also unconsciously by being around them. You're just picking up habits. So important to get in the right room. But then you did a strategy that we've referenced before in the show, right? What's that? So it's a great one. So if I'll pose this question to a player, say, hey, if you went to a Penn State practice and you got to observe them all day, but you're invisible. So you go in the huddle, you go in the locker room, you go in the weight room, you get to watch all day. Could you identify the hardest worker on the team? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, if I only give you 10 minutes at practice, could you identify the hardest worker? Yes. And what would you look for? The way they're moving, the way they're communicating, their volume, their effort, the sweat. We break down all these things. Okay, great. So now when you go to your high school this spring or this fall for football, whatever it is, can you observe and find the hardest worker in the program? Yes, I can do that. Awesome. Do you already know who it is? Yeah, it's Jack Posey. Great. Can you outwork him? Can you emulate those behaviors? So in what you did, you put yourself in the room and then you looked around and you saw an opportunity to extend yourself and demonstrate these qualities. Pretty elite. I'm glad I asked, because it's money. That's going to help some of my players and hopefully help other people in whatever environment they find themselves in. One, is your environment weak? Can it be better? Can you go and put yourself in a room with people that are better than you at a specific craft? And then when you're there, can you intentionally study the behaviors that are occurring? Can you start implementing them? And then can you find one or two that you can do better? Bold.
Yeah, I got one quick story and then a question for you. Sure. So you talk about finding the hardest worker. One of the sessions I went to, the speed sessions, there was this guy there, and he showed up first time, massive, 6'5", 260, maybe 5% body fat, shredded, and he's fast. He just an elite athlete in amongst himself. And you look at him, he looks like he's built in the factory. And I see him and I'm like, okay, that's the guy. I need to match up with him. So I do the first thing. He beats me off the sprint, and I beat him back to the line. And he's like, oh, why are you running back? Because I beat you. You might have got me there, but I got you here. So, you know, obviously he's an elite alpha competitor, right? So he's like, okay, let's go again. Boom. He beats me. He tries to jog back. I sprint back. So I was like, bang, bang. Like, you're not beating me back. So the next time he lines up next to me, he's a big dude. I'm not small, but he is freakish size. He lines right up next to me. Where he's elbowing me right before steps into me, almost like on a face-off when someone steps into you. And I give it right back to him. Like, you know what? If you're going to give it to me, I see myself as equal to you. I'm not going to back down. So then we go through the sprint. I don't even know who won. We were elbowing each other all the way through. After that, it was like, okay, we both recognized that we had this drive, this intense competitive nature. But I saw him. I said, okay, that's the hardest worker. I'm going to do everything I can to prove that I'm a harder worker than you. And eventually, if everyone does that, and to your point, building team culture, you have everybody who thinks they're the hardest worker. It doesn't matter who the hardest worker is, because collectively you're all moving forward.
No doubt.
But my question to you is, has there ever been an environment where you've noticed or realized who the hardest worker was, and you not went after that person, but made it your mission to work harder than them? Do you have a specific example?
Yeah, I have a couple that I think are pretty cool. One is I was very fortunate when I was a freshman in high school to get the motivation to lose weight and get in shape. And there were two guys, Kenny McAdow and Tyler Johnson. They were the biggest, baddest dudes in school. Both played lacrosse, both played football, incredible shape. And then Mr. Valier, who was the guidance counselor, who was also an absolute unit. And they worked out every morning at 7 a.m. before school. And they invited me into that. And it was special. And I look back and I realized just how incredible that was for me. And I went every day for a month, and then we'd have practice. And it really took like a month. I cut a lot of weight and I got in really good shape. That was a pivotal experience for me. They invited me into that. They didn't need to. They mentored me through it. It was a 1 month thing. And then probably finished the season, but I remember that 1 month not missing a day with them. I can't say that I was looking at them going, I got to do what they're doing. But when I became a junior and a senior, I do remember the energy that Kenny McAdow brought. And I was like, oh, I just got to act like Kenny. And when I got to CNU and I was a freshman, and I was like, okay, Coach Dawson, who was our D-line coach, D coordinator, unbelievable. And I was like, oh, I just got to act like him. You know, so I have used the emulating the behaviors many times before, but I got a good one for you more recent. When I got the coaching job at PVI, my goal was to be a Hall of Fame coach by the time I'm 44 years old. That was my goal. So I wanted to accelerate my development. I wanted to win enough championships so that I could retire at 44 if I wanted to, and I'm a shoe-in Hall of Famer. So for whatever, 44 is my number. That was the motivator. Okay?
Sure.
So I get the job at PVI, and I went to a public school. I didn't know the lay of the land of the private school lacrosse scene. So I start studying it, and I'm seeing who the big dogs are. And I identify Casey O'Neill, head coach at Gonzaga College High School.
I'm pretty sure he sat right here in this chair.
He did just a few weeks ago. And I see Casey and what he's put together at Gonzaga, and it was unbelievable. The amount of championships, the winning streak that he's gone on. And I said,
not to mention the lives that he's changed.
The lives,
and
thank you for mentioning that.
The kids that he helped develop into men and send them off to college programs. Incredible. A lot of them coming to Penn State and were my former teammates. And a lot of my former teammates were molded under him, and they had nothing but the highest praise and appreciation for what he did there. So I want to put that in.
Well, I agree. And I'm so thankful that he's a part of the academy, intricate part of the academy. We talk on the phone every day. We had a phone call this morning, and it shaped me, right? So getting in the room with the right people, he's in the room, and I couldn't be more grateful. I have this desire to be the greatest coach in the world, to go for it. Casey O'Neill's the target. And so I start going to work at PVI. I'm like, we got to beat this guy. We got to win a championship. And proud to say that we beat him twice in my time there, but never in the championship. And he's got a lot more of those than I do. What was really fascinating when my time with PVI was over, and I said, okay, well, now I'm not affiliated with one school. I'm going to reach out to all these coaches to pick their brain. I reach out to Casey. I say, hey, Casey, I'm not affiliated with PVI anymore. I would love to pick your brain. Out of respect, I'm fascinated by what you've accomplished. Will you meet with me for lunch? We meet. We have this incredible lunch. I learned so much. And over the course of that conversation, it became clear that he was ready to make a change and he wanted to then join the academy, which is something I never expected. Never went into it trying to recruit him to join the academy. A few months later, it's official. He steps down as the associate athletic director at Gonzaga, steps down as the coach, joins the academy full-time as the vice president. He turned 44 that year. Hall of Fame.
That's a miracle, man.
Hall of Fame guaranteed what he's built, you know? So yeah, I've done a good job emulating behaviors, and I've done a good job putting myself in the room with people. And I think anyone right now listening could just sit and go, all right, what's the next best room that I can get in? And what are some key behaviors that I can emulate? Yeah, man.
One thing I'd like to add to that too, that is, I think, important for people out there, your viewers, anybody who's really looking to improve upon themselves, to take away from that, is the level of fascination that you had in other people's success drove you to reaching out and actually having a conversation. A lot of people put their, let's call them idols, or the people they look up to, on these pedestals, and they don't see themselves as equal to them. And this wall, this barrier that at times I've done it as well, but what I've really had to overcome is the fact that if I put someone on a pedestal, I'll never be able to, just mentally, I'm putting a block on my growth and my success, because I'll never be as good as that person because I've elevated them. And if you have someone who you look up to, I mean, there's been so many people who have helped you in your life, so many countless people who have helped me. And because of these interactions we've had, we have nothing but gratitude, and we have this deep sense and deep obligation to give back to others, which, if these people who are where you were 10 years ago, where I was 10 years ago, 13, wow, that's young. That's really young.
Oh yeah.
But just theoretically, the people where, when I was back in high school, if you want to pick, if someone wanted to pick your brain and they reached out to you and they said, Coach Mabes, I'm a high school player, I want to go play D1, and I know my mental performance needs to improve, and they reached out to you genuinely, I'm sure you would, in a heartbeat, try to do something to help them
right away.
And then if someone reached out to me and they said, hey, Jack, I'm in high school, I want to work on my one-on-one defense, is there anything that you can do to help? And it was genuine and sincere and mature, which is another really important thing to develop at a younger age. I got to be super serious, but there's a level of maturity that we all have to achieve and get to work with people in a more serious manner. But putting us on pedestals, people would never reach out. But to really take steps forward, you have to take these idols or these people who you look up to off the pedestal, see yourself as equal to them. Because if you see yourself as equal to them and you're intrigued and you want to learn, like you did with Coach O'Neill, then you're able to cultivate a true relationship, a business partnership, even things that you would never even imagine. But if you looked at him and said, man, he's that 44-year-old Hall of Fame coach, man, he's got it good. Well, I guess I got to go figure out how to do this on my own. And hopefully one day I get there. You never would have learned the thing from him. So a big thing that I've really had to develop over these past few years is not being a fan of other people or taking people off pedestals, not because they don't deserve the respect, but because I see myself as equal, or I want to get to that point. So yeah, being able to genuinely reach out, I think, and to truly learn, is something that a lot of people are scared to do. But if you have the maturity and you know where you want to go, it's the most life-changing decisions you can make.
One Big Team Podcast is powered by Mabry Academy. We are the leaders in comprehensive player and personal development. We are experts in preparing you today for where you want to be tomorrow. We have two big programs. We have our Lacrosse program, where we run comprehensive one-on-one long-term coaching, college roadmap program, and the best group training in the country, specifically right here in the DMV area. And then we also have our mental performance department, where we also work in a one-on-one capacity with teams, schools, and club organizations. And we have multiple virtual programs that you can access right now. Please check out MabryAcademy.com if you are looking to up your game and take it to the next level. Appreciate you. Brilliant insight, something you shared with me this past week up in New Jersey. And I think that, I had a conversation with a gentleman named Keith Wilford on my way back in Philadelphia, who has had an incredible career shaping lives and as a speaker, as a facilitator, as a coach. And one of the things that we talk about was perception and the way we perceive ourselves, the way we perceive other people, and then the way that we perceive other people perceiving us. And yeah, we got to lock in on those. Those are really important, especially the first two. So the first one, perceiving yourself, being in alignment with your values, knowing what you're worth, believing in yourself, knowing that you have the ability to do whatever it is that you want to go do, seeing other people as the same as you, having respect for what they've accomplished, the maturity piece there, but knowing, well, yeah, they're a human being. They move the same way that I do. I can go do what they do. And because I believe in myself, let's go have this conversation. And then really the other one, I don't spend too much time being concerned about how other people are perceiving me. And I'm sure you don't either, because I don't think you would have achieved the success that you have and have the maturity that you do. I want to dive into, you talk about some of these people that have had such an impact. You played at an incredible institution at Penn State. And I don't know Coach Tambroni personally, but I have connections to him, and every single person just speaks so highly of him as a leader and as a person. Can you talk about him, Penn State lacrosse, the experience, and what it means to you?
I mean, there's a reason why I chose to wear this shirt today. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Yeah.
There you go. It's kind of hiding behind the mic. Penn State molded me into the man I am today. I mean, obviously my parents come first. My values, the pillars of my life, the most important parts of me at a fundamental level come from them. But the maturity piece and the development from a boy to a young man came through the experiences that Coach Tambroni offered me at Penn State. And really, I mean, so originally I was committed to Colgate. To give a little background, I committed there October 6th of 2017. I still remember. And then some things shifted. I went to I think this is important to add, but I went to the Under Armour All-American regional thing, which regional showcase, which is now New Balance. Solely because I wanted to see how good I was compared to the best in my area. I wasn't looking to change. I wasn't looking to flip. I was committed to Colgate. I was going to go there. Some things happened. The coach I committed to wasn't there anymore. So I went to this event purely just going to see how good I was. I wasn't concerned about making the team. I wasn't concerned about any of the outcomes. I just wanted to find the best attackman in every little game I played, go and cover him and see if I had what I thought I had. I did.
Yes, sir.
But so at that tournament, that's where I met Coach Tambroni. He saw me play in one game, called me afterwards, and then a couple of weeks later had me up for a visit up in good old Happy Valley. And it was funny. I drove in for my visit. It was in the summer going into my senior year. Everybody had already committed. There wasn't much movement at this point. But he had me up. It was raining on the way in. I go in. It was a tough day for a visit. It's raining. I go and I have an hour conversation with Coach. In this conversation, he asked me about my family. He asked me what was important to me. He had the conversation with me. My dad was in the room, but it was a conversation about what I valued most. And he had this recruiting pitch, but he lives by it. And he used to coach at Cornell, for all the viewers who do not know about or do not know Coach or his past. Cornell, very storied program. It was well established when he was there. It was well established before he was there. He got there. He improved it even more, made it to the national championship with them. Just a phenomenal coach, Hall of Fame coach. He gets to a point in his career where he feels this need to go out and build for himself. He's at this storied program, and it's great that he's there, and it's great that he's changing lives and doing all this, but he had this feeling, in the imagery he uses to explain it is it's very clear and it's beautiful. He felt like he moved into this brand new house. He worked very hard, and there was this house that somebody had put up on the market, and it had the great view. It had the beautiful kitchen. It had the great backyard, and it felt like he bought the house and his family moved in, and they all enjoyed it and loved it, and there was nothing wrong with it. They made the house their own. But he had a deep sense of going out, excavating the ground, and building his own house up.
Love it.
And there was a whole sense of pride in going in and going through the sweat equity and excavating the land, laying the foundation himself, building his house brick by brick. I'm getting chills right now.
I love it.
When he told me this, I literally,
I see it, man.
Same I don't know if you can see on the camera, but just this deep sense of I'm going to do the hard thing because I know at the end of the day, even though I could go this easier perceived path, the reward and the benefit to me and to others, it is just going to be exponentially that much more. Yeah. And it's going to be extremely difficult, and it may be hard for the first 5 years, first 10, 15, 20, but eventually when that house is built and I can, in his words, and I can look at my family sitting at that dinner table enjoying it, to know that I built that house with my bare hands and my sweat and my blood, there would be nothing that felt more accomplishing than that. And what he offered me was an opportunity to come in and to lay bricks as well. Yeah. And he never promised me any playing time. He never promised me any gear or any of the flashing lights. All he said was, when I was in that office with him, my dad and I, my biggest role model and soon to be one of my other biggest role models in life, was, the only thing I can offer you is the opportunity to come in, work hard, and compete. Yeah. I was that. Yep. I had other visits lined up. We walked out of the office, did a tour. Funny enough, the rain stopped. Beautiful day. So we walk around, I see the beautiful State College, and get back in the car. I look at my dad and I said, we can cancel the rest of the visits. We had a few more. I'm like, that is the man I want to go play for. I love it. Second we started driving away, rain came back down. It was meant to be. Yeah. Literally the sun came out for my time there, and it was a transformative talk. And wow. I mean, he was consistent all the way through. It was always 100% clarity and honesty with everything he was doing. He valued developing us as young men more so than anything else. Obviously, the winning was extremely important. And we worked hard and we competed and we got after each other. But he taught me the true sense of working hard, persisting through challenges, and being patient and waiting my turn. I didn't truly start getting minutes until about midway through my junior year. So, I mean, his belief in us and his faith in the work that we were putting in, because of him in the standards and the core values that he had for our program, which was commitment, being committed to the team, compassion, loving your brothers and your teammates, and compete, going as hard as you can in every sense. Those three pillars really helped me, provide me a structure and a framework to stay committed throughout my career, to love my teammates and improve our program on and off the field to get to our goal of being a national champion program, and then to compete, just going after it each and every day and competing without complaint. I mean, I'll take the moment. If you're a high school lacrosse player or have aspirations to go and play in college at any level, really, but you're a hard worker and somebody who wants someone who cares about you, your family, is 100% authentic and will give you the opportunity to compete and promise you nothing else, Coach Tamburani and Penn State, that's the place for you. Boys go into that program and come out men prepared for life. And I know a lot of other college programs do very similar things. You know, we all are trying, most college programs try to shift boys to men and win championships, but at Penn State, I can say, after seeing other programs, not that they're bad, but Penn State we do it different. And it has been the greatest honor of my life to go and represent the university, the greatest university in the world. And
let's go, baby.
Representing it today. So we are, but
I love it, dude.
We appreciate the opportunity to speak about it.
I mean, it's incredible. And the thing that stands out for me is that I proposed the question, talk about how that time shaped you. And the first thing you go back to is the first interaction with Coach. And I think it just highlights the reality of when someone, and he's probably one of the best leaders in all of college athletics,
100%.
When somebody is complete, clear, knows their values, has the vision, can communicate that vision to others, and then that person's aligned, right? Like, you were there for a reason, like it fit for you. It might not fit for another kid, but when those two things happen, it's incredibly powerful. And it's part of the foundation of sport and what can transform lives. So, I mean, I was also getting goosebumps and chills just thinking about that, but it's really incredible that you go back to that experience and how much that initial conversation meant to you. And then for the years to follow, he follows through on his word and the values that were set every day, and the feeling of being aligned with your core values is incredible. You're very process oriented. You're not attached to the outcomes. You know who you are. You know what you're not. And it brings, I think, a sense of heightened performance and joy to everyday life. And I'm sure you got a lot of that. And to me, the other master skill in leadership is framing. And it's the way that we put an image in someone's mind. And for him to put that image in your mind that's true in his heart and in his mind, it's powerful stuff. So I'm really glad that you shared it. And now I would love to go into your professional career, which is in its infancy, right? You just started this summer, which is incredible. Sure. And I think there's two things I'd like to hit on in our time remaining. One is, what's it like playing for Coach Towers? Oh, because he's an electric personality and somebody who captivates the lacrosse scene.
Very different from Coach Tambroni.
Sure, let's go into that.
In tact and the way they go about it, very different, but intention, very similar.
Yes.
Dude, Coach Towers, I mean, we were talking about it before, but talk about somebody who will look you in the eyes, tell you that you're the best player in the world at your position, and have the utmost faith and belief in what he's saying. To look at him and hear him say, Jack, you're one of the best defensemen in the world. And I know he means that in the way he's not only verbally communicating with me, but non-verbally. I mean, it filled me with just so much confidence.
Yes.
And belief in myself.
Yes.
Not that the belief and confidence wasn't there already, but it heightened it. Yes. So
I mean, really quick on that point, right? Again, confidence, your belief in your ability to execute a skill or overcome a challenge. Yeah. You have the belief to go do it. But when somebody is able to step in and say, hey, I see it too. I really see it. And actually, I can see it expand for you. It will heighten that even more. Get in the right room, be with people who believe in you, and then understand this formula. But yeah, I love it. And I'm sure he knows exactly what he's doing
for sure
when he does that. We had this conversation. I've talked about it on other episodes. Great coaches enhance mental performance. 100%. They get you in the 100%. Zone. How has he gotten you in the zone in your professional career so far?
Oh man, I mean, well, first off, I'm not at this point. I'm not the best in the world. Mm-hmm. My aim is to get there. The best right now is Jack Rowlett, one of my good friends, mentors. He's taught me so much. That dude, right now, the best in the world for sure. But to go back to the Coach Towers point, I mean, I'm a physical player. I'm a big dude. He notices that. I mean, he's physical with a lot of people. But like when he brings you in, like hugs you, it's like controlled aggression. It's almost like you feel how intensely he wants to be out there.
Yes.
And through like the verbal belief that you hear, and then the physical, like, I don't know, preparation. I don't even know how to really describe it. Just the energy he exudes. Yeah. It's palpable and it's contagious. Yes. And once I feel that, it's like, okay, I'm ready to run through a wall for this guy. And not all coaches are like that. And I've responded that way for coaches who have different tactics.
Yes.
But he's confident in the way he does it.
Yep.
And he's true to himself.
Yeah.
And his authenticity shines through all the time. And it's cool because the PL does a good job of capturing that.
Yes.
And sharing it with the viewer. He's exactly like he is on camera as he is with us. And it's authentic and it's real. And I think that's a big thing as far as my ability to respond to him so well, just because I know he's being true to himself.
I love it.
But yeah,
it's incredible. There was something that you shared with me when we were up in New Jersey this week, and I thought it was so fascinating. And I've actually talked with multiple people about it in the space of mental performance. So you shared with me, you also, we haven't talked about this at all. You overcame an ACL surgery and came back in 8 months, which is borderline. It's so impressive what you did. I know you went about it with a lot of intention. You weren't reckless about, I need to come back early. It was methodical in your approach to come back, but you weren't completely at peace with your performance outcome in your last year. You just came back with an 8-month surgery. You hadn't had the time to really train. All you're doing is rehabbing. Completely understandable. You didn't achieve that last goal that you want of a national championship. Of course, you're feeling that. But now you have to get ready. You get drafted to the PLL. You got 13 days.
Picked up. I was not drafted.
Picked up even more. I love this. Okay. So got to go back to the belief, got to go back into not putting people on a pedestal, the people who got drafted before you. Know, I'm just as good. I can be better than them. I can do the work. You said you had 13 days to kind of get your head right and prepare to go into training camp to make the team, right? To even make the team at that level is a crazy. 3 all-world defenders on the Carolina Chaos already. Insane. And you shared with me, you said, I played the best lacrosse I've ever played.
That's right.
And I said, how'd you do it?
By the grace of God, man. I grew up religious, and I have utmost belief that through Christ I can do all things. And it didn't make sense. So you alluded to, our season ended in the first round of the NCAA playoffs. And in that game, so I came back, start back a little bit earlier in the story, or earlier along my path. I came back around 9 months, and then I played against Johns Hopkins for my first game back against Jacob. Overtime game, I played about half, maybe 75% of the game. And from that point going forward, I thought, oh, I'm only going to get better.
Yep.
Right. More reps. It makes sense that I'm just going to improve. I'll get back to playing 100%. They won't, I'll start, play the whole game, and I'll get back to this level just like that.
Yeah.
Well, the opposite happened. Whether it was, I haven't necessarily digested it all the way through, but and maybe if we have more time, we could really go through that thought process. But I inevitably actually started to lose playing time. I started playing worse. And in my last game ever, it's something I have to eat and live with, and I've come to peace with it. But I played about 1 minute and 30 seconds in my final game. Playoff game, our season on the line, my goal of 5 years to win a national championship on the line. And I did not earn the opportunity to go out there and through my performance and help our team win.
Yep.
That one hurt. That was tough.
Yeah.
And just like that, the next day I had 13 days to go from playing 1 minute and 30 seconds on, at that time, the 9th ranked team in the country, to now having to go and play on the best defense in the world with the best goalie, 3 all-pro, all-world defensemen. That was a very daunting task. It was a mountain that seemed even steeper than the one I was just trying to climb with returning back to the college field from my knee surgery. And really at that point, like I mentioned, through my conversations with myself and with the Lord, I realized that I needed to cast my worries of today onto tomorrow, and just execute on the day.
Yep.
And I knew what I needed to do to train, be my best. Over my career in college, I had developed the drills and the skills that had made me feel the most confident.
Yeah.
So I knew exactly what I needed to do. But if I had worried about the outcome, if I had worried about, well, I only have X amount of days left, I knew mentally that would take away from my performance, and that would add stress to my life. And inevitably, I would be so concerned about the outcome that I'd get lost in the moment and not perform to my best.
Yes.
So each day was really, it was just a focus on, I'd step back, acknowledge what my worries were, and say, I'll worry about that tomorrow.
Yep.
I'll get to it tomorrow.
Yes.
And just focus on, what do I need to do today to enjoy my time? My season just ended. My career just ended. How do I enjoy my time with my teammates?
Yep.
While staying focused and physically preparing for a week straight of the most intense lacrosse that I was going to ever play against the best competition. So there was a mix of gratitude, enjoyment with friends and teammates that will be my brothers for life. And then just the intense focus of, today I need to do this.
Yes.
I need to work on this skill.
And the intense belief and faith.
Yeah.
Right. And, for me, when you shared that with me, it reminded me of my pregame routine and my perspective that shifted for me. And it was a spiritual perspective. It was, I'm playing this game so that my grandparents and my ancestors can watch me and enjoy. And for whatever reason, when I put my mind on that in college, I was very calm.
Yeah.
I was very present. There was a beautiful meaning. The meaning wasn't, I got to play well so I can keep my starting spot. It was, we got to play well so we go up in rankings. It was like, the meaning was so important. And so I brought this up to one of my friends who's a mental performance coach. And I go, it's almost like, and our faith shouldn't be a hack to better performance, but I go, it's almost like the spiritual route is the quickest way to better mental performance. Because if you believe in a higher power and you associate really powerful meaning with that higher power, and it has the power to take your stress, worries, and anxiety and hold on to them for you so that you can be at your best. And that's kind of what you're going to experience. And it sounds like that's what you experienced. It gave you a lot of clarity. You then were able to get back to gratitude. You're able to get back to fun and enjoyment of the moment. You were able to stick to your process, all the traits of a high performer. But what was the prerequisite was you making the decision like, okay, God, universe, like I'm choosing to believe that you're going to help me through this. Thank you for giving me this strength. Now you step into it, that belief seemed to work out pretty good.
Yeah, man. And I like you said, it's the spiritual world is a hack to get there, but we don't want to use the spirituality for our let's just call it human accomplishments.
Yes.
So it might be the quickest, but the maturity to get to that point, I think that's what takes longer to realize what are we truly doing this for. You know, I play lacrosse for a lot of reasons, but the biggest is to fulfill my purpose in life, which is to be great in my endeavors in congruence with my pain and suffering, so I can articulate the lessons learned to others who are willing and wanting. And through that, one of my endeavors that the God-given gifts I've been given is through the sport of lacrosse.
Yes.
So I pursue greatness so I can learn and articulate those lessons to others.
Yes.
And then obviously, as you know, there's pain and suffering all along the path. And that's something we have to endure and persist through.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, the faith that I know what my purpose is and I know who I'm doing it for. You know, the Lord, my family, those who have helped me, my mentors, my coaches, my friends, and then really there's, well, what about everybody else? I'm really doing this for everybody else, so I can be an example.
Yes,
not the example by any means, but an example for somebody. 100%. So they might be able to look and say, you know what, Jack did it, so why not me? But yeah, it's a moment or a time in my life I'll never forget. And I go back to it almost daily whenever worries come up. I went through that with this extreme concern of, well, this is my future.
Yeah.
You know, I stepped away from a job to pursue lacrosse professionally, and I had 13 days. And if I don't make the team, I stepped away from this job. So what's there for me?
Yeah.
So all these thoughts were running through my mind. And at the end of the day too, one of the things that helped bring me peace was just the whole idea. If it's meant to be, and I do everything in my power, right. And I dedicate myself fully to it. And I just cast my worries on the next day. At the end of the day, or whenever the time comes, the day of judgment, or whether or not I make the chaos or not, if it was meant to be, and I did everything leading up to it, and it happens, great.
Yeah.
But if not, well, the beautiful thing is then I get to go on the next adventure in life.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
That
dude, you have an incredible perspective. And again, this is the reason I brought you up during one of my workshops at Mission Prime, is because this camp, Mission Prime, put on by Jules Henningberg, is incredible.
Awesome.
One of the best development camps in the country across any sport. And it is to prepare rising college freshmen for their college experience. And it's incredible. And I'm so proud to be a part of it. And when I realized in our conversation was, well, Jack is really what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a young man. And so that when they come out of college, they do have the clarity, they have the confidence, they have the belief, they have a better perspective and the skill set to go and live their dream, whatever it might be, and to be a productive member of society and help out, right? Be a great leader. So you've done that. And I know that we could talk for hours and hours. I think what's going to have to happen is this. I'm going to need to come down to Dallas, check out the Lacrosse Barn, hang out with you and Coach Tintle, do a podcast there. So if you can, really quick, let people know what that next thing is for you. Talk about the Lacrosse Barn and we'll wrap it.
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough. So I made the Carolina Chaos, which was great, but there are a couple of professional endeavors that I am seeking now and that I'm about to step into. One being going down to Dallas, Texas, and working with Nick Tintle at the Lacrosse Barn, the greatest lacrosse training facility in the world. If you don't know what that is, go on Instagram, search up the Lacrosse Barn. It is a facility truly dedicated to enhancing performance in the lacrosse world, whether it's physically with a gym, PTs, with field space, and some of the best skill coaches in the country and in the world. The Lacrosse Barn has not missed a detail in making it the best lacrosse training facility ever. And I'm fortunate enough to go down there and be a defensive skills coach and just really developing the defenders down in that area. So that'll be early this fall when the PLL season ends. So I'm extremely excited to go down there and hopefully change some lives and make some beasts of defensemen down there. But after that as well, I do intend to go and play, or I got drafted by the Calgary Roughnecks in the NLL. Awesome. So I have a training camp coming up after this season. So still have to go in there, earn my spot, just like I did with the Carolina Chaos. So I'll on top of coaching, I'll be training my short stick as well. So being around Nick will that's putting me in the room to improve my short stick abilities in the box game. So
I love it.
I'm super excited, and just the ability to go to a new place, help transform athletes, not only as physical players, but as in the mental world as well, and helping them develop themselves and their self-awareness. It's something I'm really looking forward to and blessed to have the opportunity for. So Nick, thank you. I'm excited to get down there, and it'll be fun having this go on down.
I'll definitely be down there this fall. We'll have some more conversations. Dallas just got very lucky with you landing there. All the players that you'll get a chance to work with, I know are going to benefit immensely. So fired up, that you're a part of the lacrosse world and this next generation of players and leaders. I know only good things for your future and the lives that you touch. Super grateful that we had the time to do this. Many, many good things to come, my friend.
I appreciate you, man.
All right, on, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah.